Hello, I'm Renee Varnador, and welcome to Soul Portal Journeys. We're talking about Venus retrograde. We're talking about the solar eclipse at the new moon happening on March 29th. So, wow, lots of things to cover, lots of things to be aware of. So, this is a very powerful time for Venus. Usually, she is not having her retrograde and her rebirth period during a solar eclipse. But that's what's going to be happening for her on March 29th. I'm filming this on March 24th, so it's a few days out, but I can see what's happening in the chart. So the eclipse is happening. Um, it's happening at 3 o'clock, three almost 4 o'clock in the morning on Pacific time. And so a few hours later, we're going to be having a new moon eclipse ceremony in my private new group that's just formed called Intuitives, and it's happening over in Patreon. And if you want to join that group, you can be with us as we go through the meditation, and I'll tell you more about that at the end of this video if you're interested in that. But let's get into the chart of the new moon so I can show you some things that are happening. So here's the chart. The things in the outer ring, the glyphs in the outer ring are the signs. And then the glyphs in the white part are the planets and the points. And you can see down towards the bottom of the chart, there's a little glyph that looks like a circle with a dot and something that looks like a crescent moon exactly on the same degree, 9 degrees. And there's also a star at 9 degrees next to the moon called Algen. And I'm going to show you where Algen is in the sky on another slide. We also have this new moon is very close, conjunct to Salacia, which is she's kind of this counterpart to Neptune, this incredible feminine energy to Neptune's can be pretty wild and oceanic. So Salacia is the higher octave of Venus and Mars combined. So she has to do with our being able to integrate within ourselves the yin and the yang energies within each one of us. And the more we can integrate these different parts of us at this time, the better. Eclipses are wonderful because they help us release the past. So if you've been wanting to release something in the past, now's the time to do it. And because Venus is in her rebirth phase, you release and you have a rebirth like immediately, so there's just this sense of this new way of being in the world and this new sense of your own identity. So here's the time that I was talking about, and here's the degree point up in the big circle. We've got all of the major things I think are major anyway. But Aries is the sign. This is happening in Aries, even though our lunar eclipse on the 13th of March was happening in Pisces, and that's where our nodes are now. We kind of went a little backwards to have the last of the eclipses in the previous cycle. So the eclipses were happening for 18 months in Aries and Libra, and then they moved in January. The North Node moved to Pisces, and the South Node moved along with her to Virgo. And we had that lunar eclipse in Virgo. But because the nodes are really close to 9 degrees Aries, we have a partial solar eclipse, which is happening just before this new moon. So we've got this eclipse happening, but eclipses take hours to happen. So the eclipse is already started, already going, and then we get a new moon. So when we have a new moon, we get a solar eclipse. When we have a lunar eclipse, it's because we have a full moon, which is what we had on March 13th. So we're heading towards the end of this eclipse cycle in March, on the 29th, which is good. You know, a lot of us are feeling the intensity of it, but really, you really won't understand exactly what happened and what's going on until you're out of the eclipse portal 2 weeks after. So 2 weeks into April, we'll kind of get a clearer idea of what actually happened for you, because it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. Although we can already tell that the world knows it's in an eclipse portal, and it knows that it's happening in Aries because a lot of changes are happening very, very fast, much faster than we're used to. So how do we as human beings stay in our center? How do we stay grounded in our own hearts so that we can do what Mercury during this full moon is doing? Mercury's at 0 degrees Aries. And that's this inception point that helps us understand and communicate how we change, what happened after our rebirth. So not only is Venus rebirthing, but Mercury is on the inception point, which is a 0 degrees Aries point, which is the absolute beginning of the zodiac. So you can see that Venus on this chart is in Pisces, the little blue one next to the Aries where the sun and the moon are. And you can see this little feminine sign. That's Venus. And she's conjunct the star Salacia, and so is Neptune. Neptune's on the other side of the star Salacia. The North Node is conjunct Venus and Mercury, even though Mercury's in Aries. Mercury is so close to the 29-degree star Scheat that he gets to be conjunct that star also. So we're looking at all of these in Pisces are releasing. So Saturn is releasing old structures, been doing it for a while now. The Venus is releasing her sense of who she used to be, what she used to value. So you may be going through a values reevaluation during this full moon. You may also be considering your finances. I've been primarily working with financial institutions in the United States, which makes sense because it's where my money's coming from. But I'm changing it now to pesos because we're going to move deeper into Mexico. So I'm getting my banking is changing. I've got a new Mexico bank. So whatever is changing for you with your money and your finances, great. Another planet that is helping us with all of that money stuff is Uranus. Uranus is unexpected change. And if we trust the universe and we trust what's happening and don't go into fear, then Uranus is going to bring us unexpected changes. Like I've already had a couple of unexpected sources of income come to me during this time because I stayed out of the fear of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to my Social Security? Blah, blah. If I'd have stayed in that fear, that would have, I don't think I would have received the kinds of money that's pouring in abundance that's pouring into me right now. So it's kind of amazing when you test this stuff out and it works. You're like, what? At least my mom used to say, what? Every time she was surprised about something that happened. Yeah, I can hear people that knew her laughing right now over that. But anyway, okay, back to this. We're seeing that Mars is trine Saturn in this, and so that's powerful. We can see that Mars is sextile Uranus, so that's powerful. So Mars is in here. Mars is the ruler of Pisces. In other words, he just feels like he's at home in Pisces. That's his place. He feels comfortable being on fire and taking action, which is Aries, right there. But Aries is also our I amness, our stepping into our presence. And what are we going to do about that? How are we rebirthing ourselves at this time when Venus is going to be right in her rebirth phase? So as I'm filming this, Venus is in the gestation phase. She's it's like being pregnant with what is coming, and the birth is going to be happening around the time of the eclipse and this new moon. So yahoo. So think about what you're releasing, think about what you're stepping into. Jupiter is pretty powerful at this time. Jupiter, I'm going to talk about the stars, a little more on the stars that are happening at this time. You can see that these stars are some I was talking about. I'm going to talk about Scheat, and Markab, where Saturn is on this one. I'm going to there's Rigel, where Jupiter is right now, and Jupiter is opposite the Great Attractor, which is in Sagittarius. So that's pretty amazing. The super galactic center is on this chart because the south node is still pretty close to it. Arcturus, we've got Lilith right on this star, Arcturus, and Arcturus is these powerful beings from Arcturus are emotional and physical healers. So we can actually, Lilith holds karma, we can actually drop karma during this eclipse. So that's pretty powerful. So if you're ready to do that, if you're ready to step out of old patterns, that could be something that happens for you. We can see this star altar right where Pluto is. Because Pluto just moved into Aquarius and is still in early degrees of Aquarius, we are still feeling the possibility of the new. So it's not just, oh, I have a new life, I'm moving further into Mexico, or this one has a new life, or that one, what we do personally. But Pluto is just starting almost 20 years in Aquarius, and things are going to be very different for all of us by the time he finishes. But right now, we're in this newness, and Pluto is also connected to Sedna, which is our spiritual destiny. And so there's a trine there. And Pluto is also happens to be sextile Mercury right now. So when the planet of communication, Mercury, is talking to the planet of transformation, it's not just about our little life and our own personal rebirth. It's a rebirth of consciousness on the planet to anybody that's paying attention, anybody that is tuning in to the awareness, anybody that's trusting what's happening with the universe, whether you like some of the outer world changes in the external world or not. You can still be against them, but still say, okay, we need to be going through all of this, letting go and releasing and unstructuring and saying goodbye. So Neptune's about to, the day after this eclipse, Neptune is going to leave Pisces, where Neptune has been for 14 years, and I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it because it's so deep, and the unity. I just really connected to the unity and the bliss, and the spiritual development has been incredible. It became what I value in my life. My values completely changed. And so I've just really been loving this Neptune in Pisces, especially since Saturn came in and helped give structure to what I've always felt, because my moon is right on the last degree of Pisces. And this morning, Neptune, I could feel it the day before yesterday, I could feel Neptune packing up. if you go into the core of these planets, inside the center of the Earth, inside the center of Venus, inside the center of Neptune, you can really kind of see and tune into what's going on with the planet. At least that's what I do. There's other people that do things differently, but you can try my way if you want. But it's, for me, Neptune was packing up. And this morning, Neptune gave me a parting gift, and I wanted to open it. It had a big bow on it. I mean, I'm kind of clairvoyant. I always translate everything that's happening into with the light coming through in terms of images. But you do you. I mean, everybody has their own way of connecting. Some people are more physical. Some people hear things. And that's something that we work on in our private groups, intuitives, is different ways of perceiving the information, the light, the changes, the cosmic forces that are coming through. And we all have spiritual senses that are developing rapidly during this powerful, intense time. So we've got that going on. And look at how many things that are activated in this new moon are happening in the Great Square of Pegasus. Oh my goodness. The sun and the moon were on the star Algenib, which is at the bottom corner. And then Saturn is on Markab, which if you go up a line, you can see Markab. And then if you go over to the left, you can see Scheat, where all of these, look at this list, Venus, Mercury, North Node, Neptune are all conjunct Scheat. So, wow, you've got a square, a great square of Pisces, and squares are manifesting. Now, there's often conflict before the manifestation. When we see squares in our charts, there's conflicts that need to be resolved. So if you've been learning how to resolve conflicts in your life, then all of a sudden squares become these amazing ways of manifesting. So we can manifest what is coming to us from the star Scheat. And for me, the star Scheat helps us open into our crown chakra, and that helps us bring in the energies, the cosmic energies, so that they can land in different parts of our body, especially the chakras, and then we can go to them later and see what they are seeding, what little seeds are within us that were planted with that boom burst of light coming through to us. So I love that about Scheat, that it can help us open to the beings on Arcturus, can help us open to this great square of Pegasus. And Pegasus is the flying horse that Andromeda flew away on after she released herself. She's her own hero. Perseus came to rescue her with, the Pegasus, but she really releases herself because all of these stories are all related to us in the situation that we go through on the earth. There's a spiritual law about as above, so below. And so as Venus is going through her rebirth phase, we get to go through one too. So it's kind of cool to follow Venus through this. I have a whole Venus retrograde series if you want to see that, see all the different phases. I'll link to the playlist at the end of this. So I just want to show you how exciting it is, because when you're on a flying horse, you're soaring, and you're soaring free. And that is just an incredible thing when you're in the middle of intense times of rapid fire change. So I want to invite you now to become part of our new group called Intuitives, and it's in Patreon. So there's a link below to that, and it's like membership. You can pay to be a member of Intuitives, but there's a free version where you're just seeing a bunch of videos from me and a bunch of handouts and other free resources that, I just like giving out free stuff. So you can just pick up the free stuff if you want, or you can read about the Intuitives membership and see if you want to come and join us at the new moon eclipse ceremony, where we're going to have a guided meditation. Okay. And it's because all these powerful forces coming in helping us so that we can see, because Mercury's going to tell us, Pluto's helping. All of these, they're all working together. This is a year of massive change with all these planets changing sign, all this fire, all this air, bringing the fire up even more. So we are dealing with these elements. Thank goodness I'm a galactic anchor and I can help us anchor this all in so we can open our hearts, figure out what from within us we are being invited to birth into the world. So that's what we're going to be working on in the meditation. So check it out. If you really want to come to the meditation, stop it right now, take a picture of what to bring for the ceremony. But if you join intuitives, there's also this list. So what was that again? Yep, it's the new moon eclipse ceremony. It's going to happen a couple hours after the eclipse is over and the new moon has already been exact. And that's going to be 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's a Saturday here in the US. So I know in Australia, you guys are probably going to be asleep, but you might want to, if you're in the intuitives group, you're going to get the replay. So love and blessings to everybody. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to this beautiful channel. I am so blessed that so many people are just subscribing and watching. And if you liked this video, click on it that you liked it. Thank you. Mwah. Love and blessings. Bye-bye.